Good evening, YouTube, and welcome back to another episode here at Wildman Lifts. I'm your host, Wildman. On today's episode, I wanted to bring Christmas to you earlier and give you a free strength program. I've been getting a lot of questions about a previous video I did called 5x5, which is a strength program. And some people were asking me who want to build more muscle mass, want to know if that program is a good program in conjunction with bodybuilding. Other people say, I want to look leaner and more athletic and lose weight, but I also want to get stronger. Will 5x5 work for me? And the answer to both those questions is yes. The thing that matters most is 5x5 will get you for sure stronger. Now, depending upon your specific fitness goal, such as building more mass or losing weight and looking leaner and fit, 5x5 can do both of those. It all depends about how you structure it. So I'm going to go ahead and structure that for you. Now for today's session, I'm going to do 5x5 structured towards bodybuilders and people who want to look and gain more muscle. So just a reminder of what 5x5 is before we jump into this program. 5x5 is 5 sets times 5 repetitions. You're going to do that work for 1 to 5 weeks. On week 6, you're going to test your 1 rep max, and then you're going to apply 5x5 all over again. Now, when I say 1 rep max or 1 RM, I'm only talking about 4 compound movements. Compound movement meaning you're using all of your body with a primary focus on a specific muscle group. So that's going to be the back squat, the bench press, the deadlift, and the overhead seated shoulder press. Now what you'll do is you will test what your 1 rep max is, meaning you'll keep working up in weight until you feel like that's a good number to hit, or you barely squeak out passing. And then you'll take 70% of that, and that's your week 1. Then every week, you'll add 5 pounds to that. On week 6, you'll test your 1 rep max. And then after that's done, you will take 70% of your new 1 rep max, because you should PR or get a new personal record and lift more weight than you started 6 weeks ago. So now here's an example of 5x5 all by itself. And if you want to get stronger, you don't need to do anything else. If you just do those 4 compound lifts and you do 5x5, you will get stronger. You really don't need to do that much. So I took some 1 rep maxes on the squat, which is 185, bench is 135, deadlift is 225, and seated press is 100 pounds. Then on day 1 for the back squat, do you see where that says that W1, where it says 130 on the bottom? That's the weight that you're going to do. And you're not going to go up in weight. For week 1, day 1, back squat, you're going to do 130 pounds for 5 sets, 5 repetitions. The next week, when you do week 2, on day 1, week 2, that's where that W2 is, you'll do 135 pounds. See how we only added 5 pounds? And you will do that weight, 135, for 5 sets, 5 repetitions. And then, you guessed it, here's a pattern. See that W3? Week 3, day 1, is going to be 140 pounds, 5 sets, 5 repetitions with that number. And then the pattern's going to continue for week 4 and for week 5. And every week, we're just going to keep adding 5 pounds to last week's total. Not that hard, right? Even somebody who is not very good at math, like myself, can figure this out. And then same thing goes for day 2 on the bench press. Day 2, week 1, is going to be 110 pounds. Next week, when you do your back squat for week 2 for 135 pounds, day 2 bench press is going to be 115 pounds. And the pattern is going to continue. And that's going to be the same for day 3 and day 4. So really, you're only working out 4 days a week. And every week, you're going to add 5 pounds to your total. And you're going to continue to progress. And right about the week 4, week 5 spot, you may feel like you're not going to finish. And that's perfectly fine. Let's say you get to your 3rd set on week 5 and you can only hit 3 repetitions. and you got to call it quits there because you can't do anymore. That's perfectly fine. Go to week 6 and test your 1 rep max, and it should go up. Then you'll just take 70% of that 1 rep max, and you will start 5 times 5 all over again by starting with 70% and just adding 5 pounds every week as you continue on with the strength program. Now, if you want to apply 5 times 5 to a bodybuilding program, here's an example that I gave an actual client. I actually took his 1 rep max, took 70%. He said he wanted to build muscle and build size, and this is the program that I gave him. And according to him, he really liked it, he enjoyed it, and he got results. So I took his 1 rep maxes, which on the back squat was 295 pounds, bench press was 255 pounds, and his deadlift was 365 pounds. And I actually didn't prescribe him the seated shoulder press. Reason being is he's having some shoulder complications, and so I thought that I would stick him to dumbbells instead, and I'll show you how I programmed that. So for day 1, week 1, he did 205 pounds for 5 sets, 5 repetitions. After he was done doing his strength work, he did 3 sets of each, meaning he didn't rotate or circuit training. It means he did these and didn't move on to the next exercise until his 3 sets were done. So I had him do a Bulgarian split squat hold for 5 seconds, and that was because he says he has knee complications. So Bulgarian split squat hold for 5 seconds really builds up your knee, builds up your hammies too, and builds up your glutes. And holding it and giving it that static hold really makes your knee work into overtime and build those inner muscles that's really hard to get to. So I had him do 5 repetitions each leg for 3 sets. So once he was done with that, then he went to the leg curl machine and he did 3 sets of 10 repetitions each, meaning he didn't move on, right? He had to finish the machine leg curls until he was done. So 3 sets times 10. And then he did 3 sets times 10 on the machine hamstring curl machine, followed by with the barbell that he just used. And I told him to add weight to that, double than what he squatted. And I had him do 3 sets of 10 barbell calf raises where he stands up to his tippy toes. And then I had him do 10 box jumps, 3 sets of 10 box jumps. And he said his legs were pretty sore after that day. We're targeting a lot of things that will help him with his back squat and improve back squat, but also build muscle mass. On day 2, week 1, he did 185 pounds for 5 sets, 5 repetitions. Once he was done with that, then he would do, again, his 3 times 10 sets of dumbbell incline bench, which I told him, try to hit weight and go up in weight the best you can. So if he does 30-pound dumbbells at the incline bench, and that's too easy, go up 45 pounds, 55 pounds. Try 3 sets of 10 with that. And he would build up until eventually he couldn't do 10 reps anymore. That's a good way to build muscle, especially when you're trying to isolate them. Then I had him go over to the machine pec fly and do 3 sets of 10. Again, it's supposed to be hard, it's supposed to burn, and you're supposed to try. Especially if you're trying to build muscle, you're gonna feel like a really big pump in your chest, and that's what you're aiming for. 10 easy bar pullovers. So that would be pullovers where it would target your chest a little bit more and not your triceps. Pullovers like that really work different parts of your chest that other pushing mechanisms won't achieve. And then I had him do 10 hand release push-ups, 3 sets of 10. Each of those is 3 sets of 10. Then I had him isolate his triceps for 3 sets times 10 repetitions with the machine rope tricep pull downs, followed by the bench tricep push-ups and kettlebell overhead tricep extensions. And that was day 2. Day 3 is more of a rest / cardio / ab work. So I told him to pick a machine, either the Stairmaster, the treadmill, the bike, the rower, the ski erg, anything, and just do 30 minutes of light cardio on there. After that, I had him do 3 sets times 10 repetitions of toes to bar, followed by 3 times 20 sets of ab mat sit-ups, and then I ended with 3 times 50 feet single arm farmer's carry, either with a kettlebell, a dumbbell, and the weight would be his choice. But we're trying to isolate our obliques there in a static hold while forward progressing. So it needs to be heavy. Day 4 for the deadlift. On week 1, he did 255 pounds, and he did his 5 sets times 5 repetitions. Once he was done with that, he did 3 sets of each, 10 pull-ups, so 30 pull-ups total, followed by 10 machine wide rows, which is pulling to your chest in a horizontal pattern, 10 dumbbells seal rows, and 3 times 10 machine back flies, which is the pec deck, but you just reverse the motion and hit your back instead. Then to isolate his biceps, I had him doing 3 sets of 10 each, easy preacher curls, machine rope bicep curls, and Zotman curls. And for day 5, I didn't have him do the seated shoulder press because of his shoulder issues. So instead, I had him pick the dumbbells that he wanted to do, and he did a seated shoulder press in the same manner, but he did them with dumbbells. So obviously it's going to be lighter, but dumbbells make your stabilizers work harder than a barbell, and that's what we're trying to target with him since he has shoulder problems. We want his stabilizers to get stronger so that he is able to press overhead one day, and it won't hurt his shoulder when he does so. And then I had him do 3 sets of 10 each of the Arnold press, band side delt raises, and rotator cuff rotations for overall shoulder health. And then face pulls to end it. And then for days 6 and 7, I told him he could either rest and get ready for the next week, or he could do very light cardio, like light running, biking, it doesn't really matter, even walking. But just make sure it's about 30 minutes. That's all you really need, and prepare for the next week. Week 2, he would do this exact same program all over again. The only difference is for the strength sets for week 2, where you see W2, he would do that weight instead of week 1's weight. He would only add 5 pounds. And he would continue on this program for 5 weeks until he got to week 6, and then he would test his 1 rep max and see if he improved, which I guarantee he did. And he also got bigger in size. Now this is a great 5x5 strength bodybuilding session for a beginner, somebody who really doesn't know what they're doing in the gym. And I didn't want him to get injured in any way. And so I was basically building his overall strength so that when he does start lifting heavier and heavier and gets into strength programs that end up being 3, 2, or 1 rep max tests almost every week, his skeletal frame and his muscles and his tendons would be ready to handle that kind of weight, and it'll reduce the likelihood of injury. And that's what I'm all about, is reducing injuries. I hope everybody enjoyed this free 5x5 strength session and bodybuilding strength program. Next time you go to the gym and you don't really know what to do, but you want to build muscle mass and get stronger, go ahead, screenshot these, put them up on your phone, and just follow along in the gym. And you don't need to do much. And if you have any questions about how to do a specific movement, go ahead and just look it up on YouTube. Everything that I put on here, you can look up on YouTube, and some fitness enthusiast has already put out how to do this movement. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Have a great evening.